Hey everyone, it's Dr. Butler here. I'm here with Austin Moss. So he is the Director of Player Engagement at the San Francisco 49ers, and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself, and then he's going to answer some questions that we have created for him.
All right. Thank you for having me, Dr. Butler.
Of course. Great having you.
Do you want me to just go down and just start? Are you asking the questions or how you want to go about it?
So I can ask the question. So if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you work and your job title, that would be great.
All right, cool. So again, as Dr. Butler said, my name's Austin Moss. I'm the Director of Player Engagement for the San Francisco 49ers. And this is going into my fourth season. I started out here in 2018, and it's been a great journey. A lot of my role really, involves a lot of player development, a lot of life skills, a lot of human resources. So to capture it all, my overall role is to enhance the professional and personal development of our athletes, both on and off the field. So helping onboard our players as soon as they join our organization. So I oversee our rookie development program. I've created a comprehensive year-long program where they meet with me consistently, and we help them adjust to being a professional athlete. We educate their families, their wives, significant others as well on the experience, what they're going through, and how they can maximize this opportunity. And then we really work, day to day with guys and outlining their goals for on the field and then off the field, and helping them achieve them. And ultimately really building a winning and championship culture here for the 49ers organization. So I report directly to our general manager, John Lynch, and I'm involved in that evaluation process for identifying the type of talent and the type of player we want to join our organization. And then as we go through that identification process, once they get here, I'm with everybody hands-on day to day and helping build our culture.
Wow, so it takes a lot to be a part of the 49ers organization. What you do on and off the field, they both count equally.
For sure. We have a great structure here with a phenomenal head coach and then general manager, and we want to identify people that have some specific traits on the field to help us win games, but also high character individuals and people that'll work hard and that love the game of football.
Thank you. So, my next question, can you tell us about your journey and how you came to be in the position that you are in today from college until now?
Yeah, so it's man, it's an amazing journey. It takes a long time to get to this point, but if you're passionate and dedicated, you can definitely, achieve your goals. For me, I played football at the University of Kentucky, so that's where, my experience kind of started just as a student athlete. And obviously, I think, all of us that are student athletes want to play at the highest level, but as my career went on, I realized that wasn't going to be in my future, and I knew I wanted to work in the front office of an NFL team. So that was my path. I started to figure out how I could do that and map that out. I spoke with guidance counselors, with career counselors, and people within our athletic department, and they introduced me to a sport business management master's program at the University of Central Florida. It was called the DeVos School of Sport Business Management. So I knew I wanted to go get my education and get an advanced degree and earn that MBA to help set myself apart from a resume standpoint. So fortunately, I was accepted into that program, did grad school for 2 years, and then, I started to look for opportunities. It's really, really hard because this is a job in an industry where, a lot of people desire, the demand is high, but there's not many jobs available. So you really do have to work on building your relationships and find people that are decision makers that you can start to learn from and have information interviews, and then go from there. So to try to keep this as brief and concise as possible, I would say that, it started with grad school and getting that advanced degree. And then after that, it was just, networking, getting out there, trying to sell myself so people could understand my values, and the value that I could bring. And that, took about a year and a half after grad school until I got an internship. So if you think about that, it's a long time, it's a struggle. It didn't happen immediately, but, just staying persistent. And then I started as an intern at the NFL League office in New York, interned for a year, and then got hired on full time and worked my way up through the organization for the next 4 years and stayed there ultimately 5.5 until I joined the 49ers in 2018.
That is a very exciting story. And I feel like, you just are a very motivated individual. Actually, I know you are. So, fun fact, students, I actually know Austin from my hometown of Lexington, Kentucky. So, when I was going to grad school, he was going to grad school, and we were trying to choose programs. He chose a great program. It's still an excellent program, University of Central Florida, and they're in charge of the race and gender report card. So, we do cover that in class a little bit, and they help a lot with diversity and sport organizations all over the country, and then also with the NCAA and the NFL and all of that, right?
Yep.
So your network is bigger than you think, so keep that in mind. So I know that you worked with the NFL league office, like you said. So you first work with the prep program and being a social media intern, and then you were the manager of player engagement. And then before you departed, you were the senior manager of football administration and development. Can you just give us like a quick synopsis of what those roles entailed, and then also how those past responsibilities at the NFL league office have helped you to adjust into your current role at the 49ers?
Sure. So as an intern, I'm sure, hopefully you all will be going through that process to get internship experience, but you really are all hands on deck. Like, you do whatever's asked and whatever's required of you, so you can show that you're able to handle instructions, assignments, and do it at a high level. So the internship starting at the league office was running our social media for the player engagement department, and that was really on the front end of when Twitter and Instagram kind of was just now really peaking. So trying to create a presence and doing that, by no means was I an expert, but I felt like I knew where the generation was heading and technology, et cetera, and I was able to basically carve out that space to show that, hey, like, this is something I'm capable of doing. This is how I can add value, and this is what we do. So that was a cool opportunity to start doing that, and then working on our player programs, just understanding what the league's objectives and initiatives are for all their NFL players, their current players, their former players, and then those that are coming into the league. So they charged me, with, since I was a college student athlete and understanding that college athlete experience, they charged me with building a program and camps for high school and college athletes to help them become educated on that process of what it takes to get to the NFL, but also understanding the short timeline or experience the NFL is. So the average career is only 3 years, which means you'll be done playing by the time you're 24 and 25. So we really honed in on understanding that transition process and making sure you're as well-rounded as you can be, but you're also thinking about your life well beyond the game, and setting yourself up to do something longer than play football. So that was a charge as an intern. And then again, it wasn't a lucrative position. I was making $12 an hour living in New York City, trying to figure it out. So most of these jobs or opportunities are either unpaid or very low paying, and you just got to be willing to sacrifice and find ways to get it done. But I promise you, if you work hard and you're passionate about it and you're able to show your value, good things will happen for you. So going through there, I think, the whole process of working at the NFL, and I'm glad I started there because I got to see how the league works from a macro level, and how they support all 32 teams, how they ensure compliance, how, again, we support the entire population of athletes. So it was cool to really start there, and then, be around Commissioner Goodell and Troy Vincent and all the decision makers, and understanding, why they put certain policies in place, and what we were doing from a player engagement standpoint, to build that community and to support everyone that's played the game, present, past, and future. So that was the first kind of 2 to 3 years. And then, I wanted to continue to grow, and there were opportunities in different departments, really in football operations. And that was to work with our league events. So I started to be the lead for NFL draft and running the green room, inviting all of our college prospects in conjunction with Gil Brandt, and hosting that experience. I became a liaison for the Super Bowl and would be the point of contact for the AFC team and running their operations. So again, it's just about, getting in there, showing your value, and then being willing to take on, really good assignments, and showing that you can handle them. So that all entailed, logistics, operations, ensuring that everyone's needs were met, and running a program at a high level. So I got some awesome experiences doing those, seeing Tom Brady firsthand and their big time Super Bowl win and comeback victory against I think they were playing the Eagles. Yeah. And no, they're playing the Falcons in Houston. But long story short, it's just really, really cool experiences that you got just from working at the league and trying to uh, work your way up. So I did that for the next 2 years, running league events, and then I knew I wanted to work at a team and transition. And again, how I said relationships earlier are so key. Like it's really about who you build with. And who knows you, who can speak highly of you, because this industry is very big, seems big, but it's very small, and everybody knows everybody, and you want to work with people that you trust and that can bring a good value. So most of the times, jobs are already filled before they're even posted. So do your best to try to network, get yourself out there, and meet people that can hire you, because that's how I got my opportunity with the 49ers. My mentor, Troy Vincent, there was, good friends with John Lynch, who just started and finished his first season here, and they wanted to bring in somebody new. And Troy was, my name was the first name out of Troy's mouth when he asked for a recommendation. So that's how it happened. And then glad to come here and build something special.
Awesome. It feels like you've done everything that has to do with NFL and football and everything. So thank you so much for sharing that experience with us. So, can you walk us through an average week on the job? What does that look like?
So in season and out of season are very different here at the team level. In season, we're here 7 days a week, from 6:30, 6 in the morning till about 7 or 8 at night. So you're really, again, getting on site. There's different objectives during training camp. There's different objectives during the regular season and then playoffs. But as I said, like ultimately, like I oversee our rookie development program, and then a lot of the administrative things for our players, making sure their player insurance documents are filled out, making sure their housing needs are met. Everybody's in a good situation, and then again, just continuing to develop people from a life skills and accountability standpoint. So I would say if it's a game week in season, Sunday we have a game, and then if it's a home game, I'm here about 10 o'clock, and then, you leave after the game at 6. But on site on game day, I'm a liaison for injuries and family. So if a player gets hurt, notifying the family, meeting, having them come meet me so they can go back and see their loved one. And then, just trying to encourage and support guys. If somebody, has a turnover or fumbles the ball, they can get really down on themselves. But, going to lift somebody up and talk to them and helping them, achieve peak performance. That's kind of the role on game day, and just evaluating our players from that perspective. And then Monday, we get in, the players have film review, but on Mondays, I always have my rookie development program. So I'll have some sort of educational workshop for about 45 minutes. It'll be on finances, on budgeting. It'll be on healthy relationships, unhealthy relationships, substances of abuse, mental health, stress management. So those are all, things that we hit on throughout the season. So Mondays, I'm typically preparing for that session, but also checking on our guys that got injured in the game, seeing what objectives and things we have to come for the next game. And then we have like a staff meeting to help outline the week. So then Tuesday's a player off day. That's a busy day for me because a lot of guys come into my office. We'll work again on things. It could be a number of things, but there's a lot of administrative work on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we get into the practice week where, the guys have meetings in the morning. And again, anytime the players are on site, I'm on site. So it could be maybe a player doesn't show up for meetings and we don't know where he is. I'm on the search and rescue team. We got to identify what's going on, where he is. Hopefully that doesn't happen too often, but, every now and then it could happen. And then, making sure once guys are in meetings, I'm here working on administrative things, and then I'll have some meetings, and then practice. I go out to practice. This year I was the DJ, so I had the aux cord during practice. So that's always fun. And then after practice, again, touching base with guys, working on just the daily routine. So that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday, if it's a home game, we're here. We have walkthrough in the morning, and then we go to the hotel at night. And then Sunday to game day. So it's a really fun job. It's a lot of hours. But again, it's football. It's something that I love and passionate about, and helping serve our players and their families.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing. So, how do you do the work life balance? When is your day off? How do you recharge?
It's hard, you gotta find your moments. For me, like working out is a passion of mine. I love like physical fitness. So, I find times in the morning to come in and before the day gets rolling and get my own workout in. And then Try to get some time in the steam room or sauna and just meditate, pray, relax. And then, you got to find your balances. On Fridays, we call them Fast Friday because we typically get in here about 8 and everybody's gone by 2. So you get, Friday afternoon to evening off, but then again, you're right back here on Saturday, or you're traveling on the road to a game on Saturday. So they're not a bunch of windows, but you just try to find times to keep your peace, your mental health, and keep at the job.
Very nice. So, my next question, what do you enjoy most about your current job?
Uh Man, I think just the challenge of like wanting to put together a winning team, and then creating a culture where everybody feels supported, loved, but they also, understand our standard and our values, and seeing everybody work, to push themselves to be as good as they can be. I think that's the best part of it. When you see the George Kittles, the Nick Bosa's, the Fred Warners, like these guys are great on Sunday, but seeing the work they put in, Sunday to Sunday to be able to achieve that performance is awesome. And I think it comes from, again, establishing a standard, a working standard, knowing what it takes to be successful, and then a culture here where they feel supported and they can go out and be the best they can be and not have to worry about outside distractions, stressors from families, from just life. When you have things in order, you can, perform at a greater level. So I love that challenge because everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, and you have to be able to support and create plans to help them, address those. But I think that's the cool part. Each year is different. We went to the Super Bowl last year. We came just short. And this year we faced, a ton of adversity from injuries, and we didn't, perform as well on the field. So now we're back at the drawing board trying to figure out, okay, what can we do to continue to get back to Super Bowls and compete for championships each year, and building a roster that'll allow us to do so. So that's the most rewarding part.
Awesome. So, going along with that, what is the toughest part of your current job?
The toughest part. Um, you know, it's challenging because you get pulled in so many different directions and having to support so many different people. It can be exhausting. And again, as you mentioned, like, trying to find your balance of making sure that, you're making sure your mental health is taken care of, and uh, you're good. Like sometimes you can feel drained when you're pouring so much out of yourself into somebody and into other things, and then not addressing the things that you need to address, personally. So I think that's the challenging part, and finding that balance to say, okay, like, this is when, I can close the laptop, or I can turn the phone off and get my peace. And then there's other times where you're like, okay, like this is where I can go, tap in with this person. Let me leave my desk. Let me just go sit in the locker room for a little bit and chop it up with D Ford, or chop it up with whoever. So you can kind of build that rapport and relationship, and then figure out, what they're going through, because not everybody is gonna, share everything that's going on. So you gotta really be intentional and creating relationships, and then, being creative and figuring out how you can continue to support people.
Thank you. So, what do you enjoy most about working specifically with the 49ers?
You know, we always say this here, but in starting at the league and now seeing it on day to day, is that like this is truly a first class organization. Like from ownership down, like they take care of people. It's a very family oriented organization, and it's not like that everywhere. I know, like at other teams, like some, coaches and staff don't even can't even bring, their families or kids, to the lunchroom or to the meal room. But they welcome that here. Like they go above and beyond. Like this season, we got displaced for the last month of the season from December 6th till January 6th, and had to go to Arizona and live there out of a hotel for the last, month, because we got kicked out of our county and couldn't practice. So our ownership was nice enough to give everybody a $2,000 stipend to fly their family out for Christmas or for the holidays. Even if you didn't have like a family, they still gave that to you. So that's the type of people that, run this organization and that own it. And it really makes you feel valued as an employee and a person when you have that type of culture, where, it's bigger than a game of football. I know we got some questions talking about social justice and that later, but I'm proud of what we've done too in response to, the social justice and the different things that have happened. And it all comes from the leadership down, from the York family to John Lynch to Coach Shanahan and everybody else that works together.
No, that's awesome. Working for a, great organization, one that actually cares about you, that means a lot, right? And so very important for the students to hear that any organization that they want to work at, look at that, look at how they're treating their employees now during the pandemic when there's all this chaos going on. So with that being said, my next question, can you tell us about the impact of COVID-19 on your current role and responsibilities at the 49ers?
Yeah, it's extremely challenging, just like it is for, everybody out there. It really changed the way we do things. I'm thankful that we were able to have a season, but it really put a strain on, my department in terms of player engagement when, you have to be so hands-on with people and have interpersonal conversations and face-to-face contact. Like that was completely eliminated. So, how do you check in with somebody when now all they do is just come to the locker room and get dressed and then go out to practice. And then all of our meetings are virtual. So having to be creative to, find ways to have different touch points with people virtually, running my entire rookie development program virtually. And when we're used to being in person and being able to have small group discussions, et cetera. So that was a strain. And then again, from the mental side of it, it was taxing on all of us because we're in Santa Clara County in San Francisco, which is one of the highest, one of the biggest hotspots for COVID. And something changed each week in terms of like, okay, like we can't do this, or we have to have meetings, here, we have to do practice here. So when you're always having to do that, and then you see your staff and your players catching COVID, and then having to check in with them and say, hey, are you okay? Are you handling your symptoms? Like, has it spread? And then these guys that, have families and kids and, they're stressed because they're like, all right, I'm coming to work because it's my job, but I don't want to infect my family. So my family's going to live in Florida for the season. And then you don't have, your support system. So that affects you mentally. So there were just so many different things that got thrown against us that we had to adjust and handle. It was very challenging and a tough season for us, but hopefully we can get through this pandemic and get back to more normalcy this year.
Absolutely. So, as you know, athletes and activism was a big part of 2020. What are some of the things that your organization is doing to address issues related to diversity, equity, and inclusion?
So again, this is why I'm, again, super proud to work for this organization because, even though we get a lot of scrutiny for the Colin Kaepernick situation, and obviously, he was with the 49ers and then the team did not renew his contract once it expired and he was, doing his, protests in a peaceful way. I've learned that the staff still supported him in terms of, yeah, like do whatever protest you want. We don't, feel any type of way, do it. I think it gets a little misconstrued because, he got cut and they feel like, oh, well, the 49ers, made him lose the job. What at the end of the day, like I think moving forward, what we've done has really supported, the Black community and promoting diversity. I think to start, from a football side, I'm pretty sure the only team in the NFL that has three coordinators that are minorities. So our defensive coordinator that just left, his name's Robert Saleh. Now he's the head coach of the Jets, but he's Arab American, and then our special teams coordinator is African American, and then one of our offensive coordinators is biracial, African American and white. So we pride ourselves in having a diverse staff. Our new defensive coordinator is a Black male. And again, we have different people in positions that are people of color throughout this organization on the football and the business side, both men and women. That's really, really cool to see and rare, in my opinion, that you don't see that in a lot of different teams in the NFL. So that's one thing. And then just the response to the Breonna Taylor, the George Floyd situation, like, we had town halls as an organization to allow people to talk about, how they feel, what emotions are you having. And then from a team's perspective, football, like our head coach, we got our leaders together as soon as the George Floyd situation happened and said, hey, like, how do you all got, how do you want to respond? What can we do to help unify this country? Like, we're so divided right now. And we got, all of like 15 of our leaders on our team on the phone. And then we created this YouTube series called A Subject to Change. And it was featuring roundtable discussions with our players and how we address issues in the locker room. And we had, Richard Sherman, Jimmy G, um, Robbie Gold, and a couple different guys like take turns and recording episodes. And it's something that I led and was just saying, hey, like, this is how we talk about race. And this is what we talk about in the family with race. And these are my experiences. And Sherm could talk about how he grew up in Compton and what that was like. And then Jimmy G could talk about, hey, I grew up in Naperville or, in the outskirts of Chicago. And, I had no idea that, my friends couldn't go into the store and have a hood up and feel like they were going to get, harassed or anything. So those are cool things that came out of it. It's still very, very unfortunate circumstances, but we're trying to use our platform to promote diversity and show how we love one another and the culture that we have here in the organization. But I think that needs to bleed into the community. Our youth needs to see that. Our leaders in business need to see, like, again, in a locker room, there's people from all walks of life, and especially the game of football, and we all come together for one common cause, and we have to respect each other's differences and opinions, but still work together and support each other. So those things have happened. We are in the process of hiring a new director of diversity and inclusion for the 49ers to work on the business side. We are flying a Black Lives Matter above our stadium. I don't know if there are any other teams that are doing that. And then I'm a part of the ERG we just started the employee resource group. It's called Build Blacks United in Leadership and Development. And we're continuing to have a full calendar of Black History Month events we're doing right now and education opportunities. And then throughout the year, we'll continue to do things to support the Black community.
Yeah, thank you so much for creating that dialogue between your athletes and staff and everybody in the front office. I think those conversations are very important to have, and I definitely want to check out that YouTube series, because just seeing that and what you all are talking about, that helps students, that helps other people understand what's going on, and that creates some great talking points. So thank you so much for sharing that.
For sure, I'll email that to you so you all can check it out.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, my next question for you is, what advice do you have for current students who want to pursue a career path that you have chosen?
I would say first start with identifying your passions. For me, I knew I loved the game of football. I knew I wanted to address the challenge of the lack of, diversity in front offices for teams in terms of being a Black male and wanting to ultimately become a general manager. But now working, in a capacity where I'm a part of the front office and we're helping build something special. Like, that was my passion. That's what made my, fuel my fire. So again, it could be you could love the thrill of sales and having to meet numbers and wanting to run sponsorship for organization and bring in new business and find different ways to leverage brands and make them align. So whatever that may be, find that passion. But again, you're not going to find it until you get out and start to get experiences. So that could be having informational interviews with people that hold those positions. That could be getting a summer internship, in the Georgia area. There's so many sports teams in Georgia that you could, align with at college and pro to help you get some experiences. So identifying what that is, and then again, just staying committed to the process. It's, I think in school we often get accustomed to saying, if I do A and then B, I'll get C in the results, but it doesn't always happen that way. So, it could be a roundabout path to getting to your ultimate goal, but just stay consistent, work hard, and be willing to do whatever's asked of you in terms of, work, taking out the trash, showing people that you want the job and you're committed to it, because it could work out in your favor if you're good in that way.
Great advice. I hope everybody's listening to that. Be passionate, stay committed, do what you need to do to get to where you need to be. So, my next question for you is, what should sport management professors like myself be teaching students so that we can better prepare our students to be in a position like you are?
I think, obviously technology is huge. There's an ever changing landscape when it comes to that, like how you experience, sports from a consumer standpoint, whether you're watching at home or whether you're in stadium. There's so many things now that are happening electronically with your phone that you can do, and especially with the pandemic and having touchless, key points, like, the concession stands will all be touchless now. The points of entry will be, touchless. So just staying ahead of that and trying to, be creative to say, hey, okay, if this is the trend and where it's going, what idea or value can I bring to a team or organization to be able to leverage that? Again, continuing to talk about, diversity, I think will always be a big issue, and how we can continue to challenge the leaders and the decision makers to, bring diversity within the game and within sports. And then I guess, thirdly and finally will be just I'd probably say just integration and interaction, figuring out, you know, the fans are the ones that drive the business in terms of the economics of it and the money. So like, what can you do to enhance that fan experience for all sporting events? I think those are things that you can learn for sure in that capacity.
Great advice for me. So I have it: technology, diversity, equity, inclusion, and fan engagement. So I will be sure to put those in my future lesson plans. So my last question for you, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we sign off for today?
I want to emphasize this importance of relationships. Dr. Butler is a great resource for you. She's very well connected in the industry, and my journey is connected to people. At the end of the day, like I didn't get here alone. I had a great supportive family that helped me get here, but at the same time, I had great mentors and guidance that helped open doors for me. I didn't get any job that I've had. Like it came through another person and a contact I had. It wasn't like I went on monsters.com or, you know, Teamworks Online and I filled out a job and then they called me. Like, no, I had to hit the pavement, get out, get my resume, meet people. And people, if you do right and, you know, help build solid relationships, they can open doors for you. So I just want to re-emphasize how important it is to, you know, identify the people and stakeholders that are in whatever space you want to work in, and then start to build those relationships with them consistently. And again, it doesn't have to be you wanting something all the time. You can just have touch points to say, hey, like saw this article, made me think of you. Hope all is well. You know, let me know if there's anything I can do to support you. Like those type of touch points will always help you and try to get as much information and knowledge from people as you can.
Great. No, that's great advice. Your network is your net worth, right? So it
Mhm.
makes you who you are. So thank you so much for today. I really appreciate you taking this time, and I'm so excited for the students to see this and get a chance to hear from you. So take care and thanks again.
All right. Thank you for having me.